I feel like that's where a lot of the misunderstandings come from, though, is people don't understand how much work goes into it, especially a custom paint job, because you have layers. You're
sanding that clear coat so many times.
They're like, do you love what you do? And I was like, no, I actually hate what I do. I just love the end result. Like the act of sanding is the worst ever. Like, I love to airbrush, and I'll get lost in airbrushing.
Welcome to High Octane Hustle. I'm Fastlane Jane.
And I'm Design Muse. And today we have someone, I'm so excited. She's an up-and-comer. She's going to be featured on this new Netflix series.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yes. Yeah. She's an awesome custom painter. I mean, I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Please welcome Shayna Guy.
Hi, guys.
So you going to bring that high octane energy?
I'm trying.
I love it. I know we're kind of overbearing sometimes.
I love it. Thank you guys for having me on here. This is so cool.
We're so excited that you're here. You know, Theresa and I were talking because I'm not as familiar with you, but the idea of the custom painting and all of these different things, especially with your new show coming up.
The show is a great start. I think that's good, but let's dive into like, where did the custom paint part come from? Like how did that even begin? Because to me, it's a creative thing, and I know where my journey was. So I think we'd love to hear your journey. Like, how'd you get into custom painting?
Well, first of all, it's amazing that you think that my custom paint is even cool, because you're an amazing painter too. So it's always better when like other painters compliment, because I'm like, you know what to look for. So I started painting just collision, like in the collision side of things. I went to college for collision repair at Thaddeus Stevens College of Technology in Pennsylvania. And so I obtained my associate's degree in collision repair technology. And then I worked as a damage appraiser for a little bit, and I really missed painting. So I would fill in for body shops whenever their like painters were gone and stuff. And then I just eventually, I hated working for other people. So I was like, you know what? I was like, why can't I just paint for myself? And then I just started doing, I started apprenticing with a helmet painter out of Shippensburg. His name's J.R. Fogelsonger. He goes by the Bizarrist, and he is an amazing helmet painter. So he just happened to post on Facebook one day. He was like, hey, I think I want to like teach somebody some stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, why not? And I sent him this whole big thing. I was like, this is what I've done. Like I've like went to school for collision repair, all of this. And he's like, sweet, like just come on by. And it was super casual. And I was airbrushing the first night, and he was like, it was a really cool relationship, because I could call him up at any time. Even now, I could call him up right now, and I'm like, hey, like I'm thinking about doing this on a paint job. Like, what do you think? What like how would it look, or what would happen? And he's like, I don't know, you should just try it. And I'm like, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So even if he knows what's going to happen, he would just tell me to try it anyway. And I'm like, cool. And then it was frustrating for a while, because every time I would go to JR's, I could do everything perfectly. Like it turned out great. And then I would go home, and I thought I was doing the exact same thing I just did there, and it was not turning out the same. And I was like, this is bullshit. But eventually we just practiced, and it came about. But so I started helmet painting, and then I didn't start riding myself. Like I was always riding with other people on bikes, never my own, until 2017. And then when I started that, I fell in love with it so much that I was like, let me just immerse my whole life in it. And then I started painting a lot of bikes. And then every once in a while I'd throw a car in there, like I'd paint a truck, or I restored this old van one time that like, it was the old 60s vans that came custom from factory. Rad. And he gave me a budget, and he's like, if you could just restore the murals on it, that would be sick. And it's still such a cool job. So every once in a while I would do things. And then I moved to Texas, still was just doing stuff. And then I ended up out here just by happenstance. I was traveling out here all the time, and I loved it out here. And I was like, I might as well just move.
I mean, who doesn't like it out here?
So then I moved out here, and this is when I like really got into like all the lowrider industry and like all, because those paint jobs are absolutely astounding. And like growing up in a small town in Pennsylvania, you didn't even see custom paint. Like it was just weird to
the
like.
Car culture out here is so rich and deep and just it's a huge array of different.
Yeah,
you can find anything.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's
From
okay.
like
No,
Europeans to lowriders to anything. Like you
Yeah.
can find your niche out here really easily. So
Well, if we back up a little bit, also thinking about you lived on the East Coast, and what drew you to becoming a collision repair?
Yeah, even just getting into
this is-
cars.
so
Collision
I-
repair artist.
You want to go back to the very, very beginning.
So this is, I've always been into cars. Like I wanted to be a diesel mechanic growing up my
Cool.
whole life. I thought that's what I was going to be. And so I would always hang out with my dad. He was an excavator, but he was always tinkering in the shop like on his spare time. And he had a shop of his own. So I was always there with him, like just doing stuff. And then it came to my senior year, and I wasn't very like ambitious or motivated at all. Like I was just doing the bare minimum to get by. I was in cyber school. Like I was like, I don't want to do any
I
of
like
this.
that cyber school.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's like
That's what they
homeschooling,
called it.
right?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
online. So
Online.
I
Yeah.
was still going to my same school district. I had my same teachers. Everything was just online. And then I did a dual enrollment at like this community college with like just like general classes
Sure.
and stuff. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing with my life. I was a waitress at the time, and I was like, whatever, I'll just keep waitressing. And then my mom came to me before I graduated high school, and she said, are you going to college? And I was like, I don't know. And she said, well, if you don't go to college, you have to pay rent. And I was like, well, I'm not paying rent. I was like, so send me to college or something. And it was April of my senior year. So she's like, that's fine, but you probably won't get into college for another year after that. And she applied me to Thaddeus Stevens for collision repair because she always pushed
I
me.
love that. She applied.
Yeah.
You. Your mom enrolled you.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. So
that's
she
so cool.
She always felt like I was very talented in the art wise. Like I would always draw and sketch, and so she would always put me in art classes. But
Yeah.
for some odd reason, I never I didn't think I was very good with structure. So I never. I hated being told what to draw. I hated being graded on it. Like I was like, this is dumb. And like the art teachers.
It's art.
Yeah, that's
you
what
should
I'm
have
saying.
expression
Yeah.
for it.
And then
yeah.
it was never a good fit. So I was like, I can't do that for a living. There's no way. Like that's just a hobby. And then so when it came time to decide what I was going to go to college for, she was like, well, you like cars a lot and you like art. Why don't you go to school for? Well, she specifically said custom paint and airbrushing.
Interesting.
And then she was doing all
Wow.
this research, and she was like, well, they don't have colleges for that because she wants me to get an actual degree, and she's like, they don't have colleges anywhere for that. She's like, so just start by going to collision repair. And I'm actually super thankful for that because when it comes to learning the custom paint, if I didn't have
course.
that collision repair background, like
Agreed.
it just made it so much easier. Just as far as even knowing how to prep it correctly, to have all this paint and tape and everything be able to like adhere to it.
Yep.
And then just being able to broaden everything. Like I can do body work, I can weld,
Yes.
I can straighten a frame back out. Like I can do a bunch of stuff. So not that I do it anymore, but it's still really
you
cool
know
just
the
to have that
principles.
foundation. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool to be able to.
There's
have that.
so many moments where like you could be doing a custom paint job and you're like, okay, there's a ding right here.
Yeah.
I literally need to fix this. No one's around. I have to finish this.
Yep. And
You know?
so that was a big reason why I even learned everything about custom painting, from airbrushing to pinstriping to all of
Yep.
it, because I didn't want to be that person that I was like, if I didn't know how to do body work, like, okay, it came in, I have to take it somewhere else to get it fixed, and then bring it back to me, then I have to
Right.
take it somewhere else to get it pinstriped. And I was like, this is dumb. Like, why? I'll
Yeah.
learn how to do everything. And then that way it can come here, stay here from the second it gets fixed to the second it leaves. It will be here the whole time. And then that's what's cool about even partnering with Clint, is now that I have the fabrications and mechanics on that side too. So now you can bring a build in and we can have it from completely the beginning of it to the end of it, and it will never have to leave our shop. So
Yeah.
it's super cool in that
Yeah.
aspect too.
Well, and there's so many things that can happen if you're only capable of doing one thing in the shop. It leaves, who knows what's going to happen to your artwork that you've done, and then it comes back to your shop, and you're like, oh great,
Yeah.
this is bad.
Yeah, you don't want to.
I like
for
the
sure.
control
Yeah,
aspect of
it's
it.
definitely, yeah. Or even
But
like,
you know, and I say it's a tool in your arsenal. You know,
Yeah.
like you just have to be prepared for some of those things. Because I tell people, I'm like, I'm not a pinstriper. It's just one of the many things that
Yeah.
I do in order to complete a custom paint job.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I consider myself a custom painter, but like,
Yep.
yeah, like. I don't go out and just pinstripe every day. That's
yeah.
not one of those things. And bodywork's the same thing, but it helps you be a good, well-rounded artist.
oh, for sure. And then anytime I learned art in another aspect, even if it was like a colored pencil class, I could
Sure.
take that aspect in my airbrushing or in my custom painting or anything like that. So it all kind of works together to make
It's learning the
everything.
mediums
Yeah.
and understanding how they work. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. It does help you in order, like you said, having the collision repair background really helped you to understand what it took to prep and to put into a good
man, if
custom
I
paint
didn't like
job.
some of these people that come to me and they're like, hey, I want to start in custom paint, like where do I start, what guns do I get, and all of that. Yeah, I'm like, dude, you need to learn to sand it first. Like that's gonna be your first thing about it. And then even so, just learning how to fix anything that goes wrong, which is another thing that like I like having the paint job at my shop from start to completion, because if it goes to another painter that he's using materials that aren't compatible with mine, even if they're dry, that's going to completely screw me over when it comes to certain, like we dealt with that so bad on some jobs that they come in, they're like, it's in primer, and I'm like, this is great, but then I'm like, nope.
I'm like,
and you can't warranty your paint job because of what's underneath.
And then it might all look great, but you got 3 inches of body filler under that. Like whoever did that was a great sculptor, but that's like, it's not going to work. So it's a good time.
And certainly we've had that in our shop where people have come back and said, well, wait a second. This was early on because Greg won't do anything. He's like you guys.
Someone else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be down to the bare bones. Yeah. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's how you justify that high ticket item.
Oh, for sure. That's the
no, but I mean, you've put yourself through all of that training to understand what it takes.
Oh, for sure.
For part of what that is.
And there's like, and the cool part about it, because there's like countless things that just from school alone, but then just I feel like the cool part about being an artist is that you can never stop learning about anything.
Agreed.
Like there's no matter how much you know, you can always figure out something else to learn, whether it be from another artist or another technique or something in that aspect. And so from the time that I graduated college, I was taking airbrush classes or pinstriping classes or even just hanging out at other artist shops. And you could see what they do and you're like, what? I never would have thought about that. Like, that's super cool. Or even not even being in a shop, like when we go to the events like SEMA and you're out at like hanging out at an after party or something, the conversations there, you're like, I just learned so much, like not even about painting necessarily, just about like handling the business side of things or shit like that. So it's just really cool to, I don't know, just be a part of, I guess. So.
Agreed. And so the West Coast, it drew you out here just, I mean, like you said, it was motorcycles. I mean, I totally understand that.
Yeah,
weather,
so actually,
work.
It was this week, 3 years ago that I came out here for the first time because I came out here.
Well, congrats. How cool is that?
Yes, happy anniversary.
Right? I came out here for an airbrush class, actually, down at Coast Airbrush for the Rendezvous, and it was Steve Gibson's portrait class. And I was so happy for that class because he's an amazing artist. But I came out here for that, and I'll never forget it because I was at that event, and I forget who said it to me, but they're like, you're going to live in SoCal one day. And I was like, no, I'm not. I was like, no. And then within that year, it was like 6 months later, I ended up moving. Like I was here since that weekend, I was here for like 2 weeks out of each month, and I was like, this is dumb. Like,
that's
might as well
funny
just go.
Because I think it's when I texted you because you had come up, I forgot what it was, but you were in like Palm Springs or something like that. And you were like, yeah, I'm down here or whatever. And then you were like, oh, no, I don't live here yet. And then later on, I think when I text you, you're like, no, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, I thought you didn't live here.
That year that I went to Sturgis and taught that class with you, I was traveling around so much. Like I lived in Texas, but I was traveling
trying
everywhere.
To figure it out.
Yeah. And then I decided that I wanted to move to California like 4 months before it actually happened. I was like, this is something that I want to do. And I never expected it. It was something that I thought was going to happen in the next year. Like I anticipated it for the year after. But then it came up that somebody was looking for a roommate, and I didn't know who this chick was. So we had a mutual friend, and they posted, they were like, hey, I have a friend who's looking for a roommate. Like, you can have a cat, and like it's by the beach and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, I kind of meet all those. I was like, I meet all of those qualifications.
I know.
So I hit her up, and it was actually funny because I hit her up, and I was like, hey, you don't know me. I live in Texas. I don't even know if I'm going to make this happen. I'm not very like dependable. I was like, don't. I was like, so
I'm just gonna lay it out right now.
That's what I was traveling. I'm an artist.
I was traveling so much.
I'm a creative.
I was like, literally. I was like, I can't promise nothing. Like, there's nothing I can promise here. And so she was like, well, do you like want to hop on a phone call? And I was like, sure, why not? And then she was calling me, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't answer this. I was like, why would I answer? And then I answered it, and we clicked. And that's actually who I'm going to dinner with tonight. Like we're best friends to this day. So then we ended up living together for the first year I was here, and it was just great. And that's how I ended up out here. And I was
that's
like, sweet.
Amazing. I have a question. Just stepping back, you were talking about the airbrushing class and portraits.
Yeah.
Now, I know that a lot of tattoo artists, they'll step into, painting outside of tattooing. Do you find yourself attracted to that idea and doing large scale canvas art type of things?
Every once in a while. And then so right now I will do canvas art and stuff like that. Like I'll airbrush an eagle, or I have a rights to an image that a photographer took to airbrush this, and I do it in my free time. So it's still painting and it's still helping my actual full-time job, but it's still kind of an outlet in a way. I have wanted to get into I tattooed myself one time. So I thought about getting into it.
She tattooed me a couple times.
But
How did yours turn out?
Actually not bad.
Okay, good.
So it's not terrible. I can't it's still one of my favorite tattoos, but I have a tendency to I want to love what I do so much that I want to immerse myself in it. Yeah. So if I do start that, then I feel like I would neglect painting a lot.
Right.
And right now I'm just too
you want to be
I'm too far in that.
Yeah.
So that might be something then you explore down the road.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
If I ever it's definitely nice to know that I have other outlets and possibilities beyond this, because this is sometimes it takes a lot out of you, to be creative all the time, especially for a full-time job that you have to be creative on demand. Sometimes I'm man, this is rough. But I started other business ventures so that when I do run into those times, I could be okay, let me just focus on this one for a second, and then I can come back to it.
It's funny because we the ADHD thing, it just keeps coming up in so many conversations, and
because it's so good.
But it's all of these types of things that we all love so much. It is a creative thing, I think, too, part of it. But it's exactly what you said. I could be oh, I'm in a creative space right now, and then sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
So sometimes I don't want to do stuff like that. So I need something else to have another outlet to keep myself busy to do things, you know. But they're all related in some way.
Oh, for sure.
And they all kind of, because you do graphic design too and stuff. So it's the same type of thing like that.
I was just about to say it helps. The graphic design part helps me, and as far as even just simple stuff like layouts and things like that. I've learned just better fonts and readable fonts and layouts and stuff like that, that my artwork then can look more appealing, or my designs could be more appealing, or stuff like that, or colors that look better. So it just it's nice that I have those outlets that still kind of help feed my main one, I guess.
Yes. It's still bringing a type of skill set to it to enhance it. Yeah.
For sure.
I think so.
Adding fuel to that fire.
Yeah.
That's how, I feel that in journalism too. So I get it.
Oh, totally. We're all creative in different ways that. So but you can't always just be on.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be inspired. Come on, where's it going to come from?
Or the kind of the other hand of what people don't talk about is when you are creative and you don't have the ability to be creative. If I'll be on a trip or something and I have inspiration and I can't get back to the shop to do it, I'll get so angry. It's almost I'm like, this is dumb. I'm somebody get me back there. But I'm thankful for both.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny because the other day, because you were helping teach pinstriping at one of our real deal workshops, and for that you were I know I have compound on me because I just came from I'm like I can see you were buffing this morning, huh?
I was running late that morning.
But it's so funny because it's this hard work ethic, and it's you just put yourself into it and you dive in, and a lot of people are just you're just this workaholic, but it's not. It's just you just doing what you do. Yeah. And I think that really shows in a lot of what you do. You just like to dive in.
Oh, I love it. And I get, even because there's been times when I do get burnt out and I'm not creative, and then it's almost just as detrimental, just because just the act of not being creative is detrimental alone, but me knowing that I'm not is just as frustrating, because I'm I want to be I want to figure something out. I want to be creative. And then I feel almost trapped because I'm I'm not right now though. I have one panel that I've been so excited about. I got, this is the first time I ever used black flakes. So I'm heck yeah, I'm going to do this panel. I have this whole idea. It's going to be this really cool pinstriping design. And I've been so inspired for it for weeks. And then I got it all flaked out and cleared, and it's ready to pinstripe, and I can't come up up with a design to save my life. And I'm like, this is so frustrating. And I literally, my sketchbook, because I'll write down thoughts like just as I'm brainstorming and sketching. And you can see the past like 5 days, it's like I'm starting a pinstriping design and then it like goes down to fuck this. Like I'm over this. Like it's just like I'm just, this is bullshit. And I'm like, I don't even want to do this anymore.
So going into that, what's your graphic design part? You can mention that too, because of what you just mentioned. Well, no, it's funny. It's funny. I think.
Started my graphic design. Well, my graphic design business started. It was supposed to be just like a t-shirt business of my own designs. Then it ended up me designing logos and t-shirts for other people. But it's called Fuck Off Design Co. And it's just like the essential, because like, well, so I've been through, because like a lot of my life is on Instagram. So I live my life very publicly, which means that I make mistakes very publicly. And so like a lot of people get very judgmental of that. So then there are times that I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah. And those are the people that actually aren't in the shop doing what you're doing.
I'm like,
they're just sitting in the bleachers.
Yeah.
watching.
It's very easy to say what you would do in a situation that you've never been in before.
Yeah. So don't even know what products are involved.
Literally,
don't even know the steps. What's
exactly.
step one?
Or even just like know nothing of the context behind anything of like, because there's situations bigger that you could even possibly imagine that you're not seeing, and you're seeing one little glimpse of something. And like, so then I was like, you know what? And so then it was such a big situation that I actually stepped away from painting for a little bit. And that's why I was like, I'm going to start this.
It's a mental thing too,
right?
And
then, because it was showing in my work, it was to the point that I was getting to be a bitter person, and I was bitter towards paint. And I was like, I don't like this is, and then I struggled because I was like, this is something that I've loved for so long. And now I feel like I don't love that. So then I took a step back and I was like, you know what, let me just start this like whole thing for a little bit. And then that's where I was like, you know what, fuck off. Everybody just fuck off. I was like, everyone can just, I was like, I'm over it. And then I was like, you know what, Fuck Off Design Co. And like, that's like, it started as that. And that's how that was born. So,
and did that give you joy?
Yeah, it is honestly like,
I'm going to get this question out. I swear I'm going to. When you have those situations where you've lost that being in touch with the creativity, or you're not feeling in flow, what's your go-to? How do you bring yourself back? Is there something that you can share?
So there's not anything specifically. Like I know that just taking a break from it, like just taking a complete step back, like I won't paint for a couple days. Sometimes I won't even go to the shop at all. Like I'll just do something completely different. Like, but I never, it's usually for me, it's always something that I'm like, this kind of sounds cliche and dumb, but it's always something that like life is trying to teach me to learn. So like if I take a step back and I'm trying to figure out like what everything's trying to teach me here, like is it just something to be better at with my skills? Is it to even, there's been moments that I've run into those like little riffs and like I've taken a step back and it's specifically just to teach me to have more patience with my jobs. Like, so it's more so like I'll just kind of step back from everything, try to see the bigger picture of everything again. And then I'm like, okay, let me take a break. Let me go to the beach for a little bit. Let me go up to like the mountains or something. I'll come back and we'll figure it out from there. And then sometimes I don't even figure it out until weeks later when I'm just painting again. And I'm like, thank God I took that break. Like I needed it. So I don't have anything specifically. I just kind of figure out what would help me exactly in that moment. Even if it's just like going to get a cheeseburger at my favorite place or something. I'm like, if that's what's going to make me feel better right now, like I'm going to go do that and then I'll figure it out. So
I love that, because so many times people push through and it gets them nowhere.
Yeah,
right?
I've tried that, man. I've tried to just kind of ignore it and keep going, and it's just made my situation so much worse. And I'm like, I have to learn something because then it like the whole thing of you're going to keep experiencing something until you learn from it. So then like eventually it kept happening. And I was like, I got to do something different. Like it must be me at this point. So then that's when I kind of learned that whole thing to just kind of let it work itself out and it'll all be figured out.
Baja Forged, signature vehicle builds and off-road products built to forge your own path. Baja Forged was basically made because we loved off-roading. We loved the open roads. If you're looking for off-road products to help you get out on the terrain, visit bajaforged.com. Follow us on Instagram at Baja Forged for our latest builds.
Since 1987, GTS Customs has specialized in resto mod Corvettes. From widened bodies to pro touring vehicles with all today's modern technology. If you've got a Corvette, an old Corvette, and you want to make it drive like something new, contact gtscustoms.com.
So does two wheels help at all too?
Oh, for sure. When she runs, there are certain times that I'll take it
Welcome
out
to the
and I'm
custom
like,
motorcycle world.
I'm
Yes.
like, man, this was supposed to be like
Running, meaning this.
Yeah, that's it. We run next
was
to
all
it.
Related to high octane
Exactly.
But it definitely helps. But but then it's almost funny in a way because my FXR is so temperamental. Like I'm just like, you are just doing this to be a little spiteful. Like I had a photo shoot for Espinosa's leather with it, and I knew I had this photo shoot for a long time. So for 3 weeks, every day I started it and I wrote it, and I was like, you are gonna be fine. Like I was like, you're gonna be good. We're gonna start. Everything's great. So
The relationship was going good.
it was so great. And then so we left that night because we were doing rollers. So Clint was driving and we went to our first destination. I shut it off. We take some pictures and I go to start it again and it's dead. And I'm like, for what? I'm like, for what reason? I'm like, there's no way. There's no reason that this should be dead. And then thank God Clint thought about things and brought jumper cables and everything. And then it was dead the whole night. And then on the way home, my phone flew off my bike. And I was like, this is just, it was a great
What
time.
did I do wrong? What?
I was like,
Did I not love you properly? What
Literally,
happened here?
It was a whole fiasco. I was like, this is great. Clint pulled up to me next to the light and I looked at him. I said, my phone's back there somewhere. And he was like, he just looked at me and I was like, well, I guess I'll go find it. Like, I don't know. And then I turned around and it was just laying in the middle of the road and the screen was all green. I was like, there she is. And so then I just went and it's still messed up.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we need a close
Here
up.
you go.
Yeah.
This is my beautiful back of my phone. It was laying in the middle of PCH one
But
morning. It's okay.
It's still good.
Yeah. I mean, we replaced the front of it and it's still going strong. So a big piece of it
That's
fell off
pretty-
the other day and I was
That's
like,
pretty funny.
well,
So do you believe energy exists within motors and
oh, for sure.
Yes.
I am so, okay.
High five on that.
So I get way too deep
So I was
in
like, you were loving her. You were giving
Yeah,
her.
I know. I'm
Come
like,
on.
yeah, I'm all about that and like manifestation, subconscious.
yes.
Oh man, all about it.
Right.
All
Yeah,
about
right.
it. Especially
on.
I've been reading some books recently, got me all fired up. So yeah, I
Oh.
can start on that.
Tell us
all
about
day.
the
I know.
book.
All right,
Let's hear
well,
it. Let's hear
so
it.
I mean, I just I'm all about mindset. Obviously, I've always have been. It's like the one thing that's like gotten me through stuff. So. And like there was a big part of my life that I suffered with depression, anxiety, and all of that, and I was just kind of over it. And I was like, "This is dumb." So I was like, "I don't want to deal with this anymore."
very straightforward.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
"This
like
is
that. I'm done with that.
I'm like to my I'm like, no, we're not. We're
You
done
hear
with
that,
this.
people?
Like we're done
Dumb,
with this.
fix it, right?
So I was just like, you know what? The only thing that I can do though is like improve myself, and like even in situations that I'm like. That are not even to do with me. Like say I was having problems with like in a relationship or something, then I always went back to improving myself because either
Right.
it's going to help improve the situation or I'm going to be improved that I can deal with the situation better. So either
Yeah.
way, it's going to fix it in a roundabout way. So I started doing all that, and then I just started reading just a bunch of books about because like I said, I was started to feel really bitter towards stuff just because like of all of that, like
Yeah.
all of the situations and stuff. And so I read a lot of things about just letting things go and then like letting things like you can create all of this yourself. Like you don't have to wait for something to make you feel better or make you feel
Right.
good about something. Like you can do that yourself and you have all of these resources at your disposal. You just have to figure out how to use them. So it's like, I don't know. It's just
That
it's
was
a
a
good
love
time.
that. I love that.
That's great to share with everyone. And it goes back to like your same mindset in painting too.
Oh, for sure.
Because it is like having, it's, none of this comes easily to us. We all have to learn it.
Yeah.
We're
Especially
reading,
when-
we're,
And continue to work
yeah,
at it.
we're figuring it
Oh,
out.
I
Yeah,
still have my
always.
collision repair book from
Yeah.
15 years ago, and it's my textbook from college, and I still reference back to it all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is so useful. And then just even when I am at like a design block, I'm like, okay, I have to learn something new because obviously everything that I have been doing isn't enough to do something right now. So
Right.
like I need to figure it, and then I'll get inspired by something, and then I'm past it. So it all just comes down to I don't know, just learning more stuff. Like if there's ever anything that I like feel bad about, I just learn something, whether it
That's
be paint or
awesome.
something different. Like
We're like literally on here to learn.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
that's
Right.
it. We just keep growing until we
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah.
you're on here to experience everything that you possibly can, every emotion, every feeling, learn
Yeah.
everything you can. I just feel like anything but that, for lack of better terms, is like a waste of time because like you're just sitting here.
right there.
Like you're just,
Just a waste of time.
chilling on this ride, I guess.
Yeah. And I think you really touched on something too, especially with understanding that there's effort and there's work that goes into something. And I think, unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of people that think, well, we can just be an influencer and we can get famous and we don't have to put the hard work and do the hard stuff. And sometimes that doesn't just involve painting or learning a skill per se, but it has to do with doing the deep inner work.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like it comes like, I don't know how to really explain it, but I guess the best word to kind of start with it is like the instant gratification. I feel like has ruined a lot of things, because there are plenty of times that everyone was telling me to quit and everyone was telling me that this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing and that I'm a horrible painter and that everything else.
Sure.
And in those moments, it's you and your passion and your drive that's going to get you through it, and nobody else's, because nobody else is helping you.
Yeah.
So I feel like one person that did give me really good advice, they said the faster that you become well known means like the least amount of time that you're going to spend there. So like the less time that you'll actually be well known. So they were saying, because I got really discouraged one time.
That's
because I was like, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm doing all this work and I'm not getting nearly as far as somebody who just their reel went viral the other day and now they have everything that I've just been working for 10 years. And he's like, yeah, but they're only going to have their 15 minutes of fame,
Yep,
and then it's
I
going
was
to
just
go.
gonna say,
And they're like,
yes,
you're
that
building a
flash in the
foundation
pan,
for something that's going to be
And
even
do
bigger.
you want that?
Yeah, right. And that's the other thing. And I'm like, I
no.
don't even. That's not something that I even want to be like.
Yeah.
I built this to be very authentic, which is also why I've tried not to necessarily. I mean, I don't touch on my failures as much as because I don't want to be a negative person. But at the same time, I also don't hide them because like.
Yeah.
But don't you learn more from your failures than you do from winning?
So much. So that was the other thing. So I've been reading a lot of books on failure,
Yeah.
like, and
School
I've
of Hard Knocks here.
yeah. And so what I've realized the most is every single person that you've heard their name that you know of that on any level, whether it be an actor or somebody in this industry, has gone through some serious shit, whether
Yep.
it be
Yeah.
like what they
Yep.
cause themselves or something completely unasked for. Like
Yeah.
they have been to rock bottom and back. And like I read the book of like the top 50 people and their 50 failures or something like that. And it's
Ooh, that's a
just,
good one.
Like
yeah.
that.
And it's cool to see. It's like all these people and they failed so many times, like 20, 30 times before
Yeah.
they've like even gotten a lick of success. So it's just, I feel like not enough people are willing to go through that and go through, because then you're
sometimes
also,
that's some hard shit.
oh, so hard. I
Yeah.
was torn apart, man. Like
It's
I
coming
was
back from it.
I was like, and that put me at my lowest point. Like, and I've never
Yeah.
been lower than that. And I've been through like anything possible, divorce, losing family members, all of it. And nothing has put me lower than like being publicly reprimanded for some mistakes and being torn apart in the process, career wise, and then making me feel like I shouldn't paint and like that I don't love to paint. And it was the hardest thing that I have ever gone through in my life to this day.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
No,
like,
but that's what's so important, because
Yeah.
a lot of people, I mean, putting yourself out there like that's the hard part of it. And like you said, like staying true to yourself. They don't understand how important this is to you. Like only you know how much you love to paint.
it's even
Like,
harder when they're so sure of the person that I am, of
Sure.
like and it's not even
don't
completely
even know you.
close.
Yeah,
like
they
I have
made
to,
assumptions.
yeah, and I have to sit there and I have to watch them like I literally am watching them comment all these things about
Yeah.
me, and I'm like, you are so sure that this is the person that I am, and you've never talked to me a day in your life,
Yeah.
but you're so sure that this is the person I am, and I have to be okay and confident in myself, knowing that I'm not that person. That I have to be okay with you telling everyone that,
Yeah.
and knowing that that's just not me, and that
know.
that's okay. And I'm like, sometimes.
Nope, and I've learned that too. I know, no, and this is a great topic. I know,
Yeah.
that's why we're so excited, because I've gone through the same types of things where like people talk shit and they're like, oh, telling me about it. And I'm like, you know what? Do you believe them or me? You know me. You know my ethic and who I am as a person.
Yeah.
So which
Where are
one
you gonna?
is? Yeah.
Yeah, where are you
and
gonna
they're like, oh
leave
no,
that dumpster
you're
fire?
right. You're
Well,
right.
even
I
also
totally
if you-
know you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, then that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And the hard part is even losing the people who you thought were friends that you thought knew
Sure.
you. Because there was even somebody that when it happened, they like sent it all to me, and I said, "Are you like I know it's happening? So you're sending it to me to tell me, or are you gonna come
Yeah,
to my
how-
defense?
do
Like
you have
why?
my back or
yeah,
what?
like
Yeah.
why are you sending this to me? Are you gonna help me, or are you just telling me about it? Because I already know,
Right.
And it ended the friendship, and I took it very hard for a while, but then I was like, you personally knew me, and because the masses have said this, the majority of people have said this, this is what we're going to go with. And but then I realized if I hate like coming to this point, but sometimes it's the only thing that got me through. But if hating on me has gotten you this much attention, then like I obviously had to have done something right at some point.
Yes.
Like everything that I have done could not have been that bad because like
it impacted you.
Yeah.
So cool.
And if you, like you even spewing this hate about me is getting you this much attention that your post is going viral about it, then like something
I
was
must
right.
be okay.
Yeah, I must have done like something at some point that couldn't have been that bad, or like so. But it's hard to remember in the moment. It's hard to remember at any point in time. So
and it's always we remember that one detrimental comment compared to the 200 victories. And you're like, but then when you spin it, because somebody made a comment about me on I was on a closed course doing donuts in my car. That's just stupid to do. And I'm like thinking of all the things I can say back. And I'm like, nope. No,
you must not be in the car having as much fun as I am.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a good time.
like you're typing this from your office right now.
Right? Keyboard warriors.
Yeah. But it's still, so there's so many advantages to social media where we get to share this platform with so many amazing podcasters, so many amazing painters, so many amazing true like social content creators, right? And that's beautiful. But then when it comes like arrows and daggers at you, you're still freaking human. It's not AI over here in this
And then they act like nobody has made a mistake. They act like if their dirty laundry wasn't aired, it wouldn't be 10 times worse than me just not communicating right or something. Like it's like I tell my mom this all the time, like it makes me thankful for how I was raised constantly. And I'm like, as much as it pisses me off sometimes, Mom, like I'm also thankful for it. Like, so you must have done something right. Like,
Mom, I think we like you.
Yeah. I
talk to your mom.
I talk about my mom a lot. I need to have her on one of these podcasts sometimes. She's on every single one.
And she probably was whispering in your ear at some point, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything
all
at all.
the time. That was her golden rule. She constantly said that.
It's a whole mama thing.
Literally. She said it all the time.
It was good. That was a great.
But I repeat it to myself constantly. Even when I see a comment, I'm like, or even when I think something mean about somebody, I'm like, okay, cool. And I just keep on going. And it's like, I'm like, that's what my mom says. Like, just don't say anything.
Energy isn't worth putting it out there. Not, like if it's
because it compromises your peace.
Right? If it's there to be positive and do good for more people, then that makes sense. Like to stand up for something that's different than trying to fight something that you know is just not going to go anywhere. You already see exactly.
Well, so one of the books that I was reading was all about like the manifestation, and you're asking for the universe for something, but then that's the only time you ask for it. The other 90% of the time you're thinking about how much you don't have and all this other stuff. Like you are like, those thoughts are multiplying. So even if I have hatred for somebody, that thought is going to multiply somewhere else and it's going to come back to me. So I'm like, you know what? Even the people that have made horrible comments about me, I'm like, you know what? I feel for you because you have not like, you just need to love yourself more, and you won't be making those comments.
But it changes up, and it's a space of gratitude because now it's kind of like, okay, I'm learning something more about how I am and who I am and what I want to project out into the universe, right?
When you learn a lot about more about yourself like that on such a deep level, I feel like it gives you more of like an empowerment that you could ever get from anything else. Because I'm like, it's so cool to know that like I can do this. And even like on an energy level, like it's so cool to know that my subconscious can do these things, or that I have an intuition that can do these things and sense these things when I'm not even aware of them. I'm like, that's cool. And like, if I don't even understand that my body's doing that, my own body can do that, and I don't even understand it. What else can it do that like I don't know? So like, and then I go down these rabbit holes, and I'm like, what can it do? And then like I always refer to the movie Lucy.
I love these conversations.
About how she accesses like 100% of her brain. I'm like,
we're
I feel
on
like
10% maybe.
Right? I feel like it's the same concept, but just without drugs. Like it's just unlocking more of your brain and more of your like just whatever it's called. I don't know terminology.
It's like that enlightenment.
Yeah.
What is that? It's really just understanding truly like who we are and getting to that place where like you said, people are saying things, but giving your energy to that and putting your energy in the right place is just really about like living your best life, of loving yourself.
Oh,
you know?
for sure. And just like being like searching for your higher self and like being like, I feel like a lot of it is in pursuit of finding your purpose. I feel like a lot of people that are like are in like an unintentional search for their purpose, and that's where you're going to find it, is learning who you are like that. Because I need to be like, okay, well, this is the person that I was meant to be, and this is what I was meant to give to the world because I'm that person. So yeah, that's
love all of this.
I love
So
that.
good, girl.
Oh
So
my
good.
gosh.
See?
Okay, what else do we have to talk about? Because this is a great rabbit hole. I love this rabbit hole.
And I love the way that came into this conversation, because it kind of like, the thing is if you do get more eyeballs on you and think as far as
I will get more eyeballs on you.
Because you know, you like you said, you've kind of come into this scene and stuff, and now there's a show coming out.
So, well, then that's the thankful part of it, is that like everything happens for a reason. So like even going through high school, I was bullied so hard while I went into cyber school.
Okay.
So like then I was like, okay, that was preparing me for this.
Sounds like a cyber school. That's
Literally.
like a quote right
For
there.
real. So then I was like, okay, so that prepared me for all this Instagram stuff that happened. Then I'm like, okay, so this is preparing me for the fact that I'm going to be on a TV show now, and it's going to be even more amplified.
Yes.
And I am thankful for it, because if I would have just gotten thrown into a TV show and had to deal with the stuff that comes with it, I don't think I would have been able to handle it. So I was like, it's nice stepping stones.
You know that it's all for a purpose.
Yeah.
And I love that you recognize that, because awareness of those types of things are really huge.
Oh, for
that a lot of
sure.
people just don't even take the time to understand that that's, you know, okay, what am I getting out of this situation?
Yeah.
Is there a positive here, and why?
There's
what
a
is
positive
the learning?
in every situation.
Exactly.
Like whether
Great
it be
mindset to have.
like I said, whether it be just me learning more about myself, which I'm going to in every single situation. Like, but that's the only thing that gets me through sometimes, is holding on to that one thing. Because if it's all bad, then like, what's the fucking point? So,
exactly.
That's why I have to hold on to that one good thing. Like I have to find it, or else like that is my purpose then. So.
Yeah, and it's your gift, and like you said, like that is a gift that you can share with other people. However, and they don't get it. They might not understand it. Yeah. And you're just getting good at it. You're just trying to understand it more too.
Like nobody's gonna understand it until they want to understand it. Because I've read books my whole life and have been on this pursuit for a long time. And it wasn't until recently that I was like, something has to give. Like it was my absolute rock bottom. And I was like, I have like
dropping to your knees.
Yeah, that I'm literally like this. If this doesn't fix, it's gonna be the end of me. Like it's either the end of me or the end of this. One of the two. So like we got to figure it out. So. It wasn't until I got to that point that I was like, I'll do anything. Like I will do anything for this to not to be this way. And then that's just the route we took.
And you must practice a tremendous amount of gratitude, like
every day
throughout that. And I don't think a lot of people understand that you might not be where you want to be, but you can certainly be grateful for where you are.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like even that's how I kind of changed my whole thinking, because I used to be a really negative thinker and like a pessimist, and now anytime that I catch myself thinking of a negative thought, I turn it into gratitude, and I'm like, you know what, like awesome. I'm thankful for this. And then now it's just a habit that I wake up and I'm just automatically like, this is a cool life to have, like, and I'm super thankful that I'm living it.
And we have to work at those habits.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. And like they don't, just because you get good at them for a while, they don't keep going. Like I'll find myself that I'm like, why am I feeling so shitty? And then I'm like, fuck, I haven't been grateful for anything in a week. Like no wonder. So
isn't that
weird.
Powerful?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's so
I agree
weird.
with you.
And then even so, it takes a while to even build that up. Because when I first started that, I'm like, okay, I practiced gratitude for a week and nothing was happening. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, this is dumb. So then like once it becomes more and more of a habit, you're like, wow, it really is happening.
It's like getting better at pinstriping. Like I had mentioned. But I had mentioned like I'm not a pinstriper, but if you gave me a week and said like, oh, you need to pinstripe, great, every single day, and then I get better and better. Yep. It's the same type of thing. You got to practice it in order to get better. And then if you don't do it for a year, guess what? You lose it. Just like what you're talking about.
100%.
And all of this
muscle
is
memory
across
goes
the
away.
board for mindset, for gratitude. All of these things are, it's all the same stuff. It's all these tools.
Well, they talk about we work out our physical body all the time. Like, and we work out our muscles constantly, and our brain is the same exact thing. So, and the only way we can work that out is through our thinking and our mind and all of that. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to be the best I can.
That's good. I love where it's going. So then we can dive into share about the next Netflix show with us.
So this whole thing kind of prepared me for being in the public eye more by being on Netflix, called Resurrected Rides, and it's a car makeover show, and we take people in the community who really need their car fixed and made over, and we make it logical for them and just do some cool stuff with it. And there's some really cool cars on there and some really cool paint jobs. So it was
that you got to do.
Yeah. So I painted all the cars on the show. So that was a really fun time. We filmed for like 4 or 5 months last year. So
wow,
it was really cool to do. And just like the ideas that we came up with to do for like some people, like the Star Wars car or like the
Stormtrooper.
Yes, Stormtroopers.
Oh
it is a Stormtrooper theme.
Oh my!
And then just like
That's
the surf
rad.
van, yeah. And then we actually even did a Ninja Turtles themed van. So
Oh,
that one
nice.
was cool too.
Complete with pizza oven.
Didn't they do one of those before?
We did.
I thought we did.
There's a pizza launcher.
Oh, it's a pizza launcher. That's
Yes,
awesome.
I guess
love
on the
it.
comics, the van actually has a pizza
Yeah, you're
launcher.
too young for that.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a solid
Our kids
time.
watch
well,
that
so the cool
show.
part about that story though is the owner of that van got the van because he traded an original Ninja Turtles comic for it, like one of the original ones, and he's like, "I'll trade you this comic for the van," and they were like, "Yeah, I think." Watch the show to find out if that's the actual story, but I'm pretty sure it was along those lines. So,
That's funny.
but yeah,
Oh,
it was a really good time. So.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Well, and even like, so then how did they find you? Was it through Instagram? Like,
Oh,
how
so
did
yeah,
you get?
so the casting company, it was a complete third-party casting company, and they messaged me on Instagram, and well, they commented on my picture, and they said, check your DMs, and I'm like, scam,
Yeah.
like 100%, because they were like, we're
That's
a casting
shady.
company. Yeah, I'm like, this is so shady. And so I read it, and I didn't reply to it, and then she texted me she messaged me her number. She's like, you can call me, like, I'll promise you it's not a scam. And then I called my mom, and I said, can you look into this company for me? Because like she has her resources
got
with
your
all
back,
yeah,
huh?
she's very corporate and has all her corporate people. So I'm like, can you look into this company and tell me if they're legit? And she called me back. She's like, go for it. Cause she's like, I'm not finding anything bad on it. She's like, just see
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, it's a car makeover show. We can't tell you the streaming company. We can't tell you anything else, but that's just what it is. And I was like, cool. And then they even told her, she was like, look, all I can do is, she said, I'm the casting company. So all I do is get you the interview. She said, from there, it's out of my hands. And I was like, well, cool. So then I went through an interview process on like video calls, and it was
cyber calls.
yeah, cyber calls, literally
It was a
cyber
cyber
calls.
interview.
And it was a cyber interview, and 2 of them actually. So and then I didn't hear anything for a really long time. I didn't hear anything for about 2 months, and then I got a call, and they said, hey, they're 90% sure you're going to be on the show, and I'm like, sweet. And then they're like, you're going to get a call from a Los Angeles number. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then 4 months went by and I haven't heard a thing. So I'm like, okay, it's just not happening. It was,
So how it
yeah,
goes,
I'm like,
I
it was just
know.
cool to
Yeah.
be considered. Like, it's cool that I even got
Yeah.
that far. And then I kept getting like these just calls from these random numbers, and they were Massachusetts numbers. So I'm like, whatever, they're scam calls or do something,
Right,
collection
right.
calls or whatever. So I'm like, I'm not answering that. And so then he texted me. He said, this is the owner production company. Can you please call me back? And I was like, oh, yeah. And then so I called him back, and they were like, hey, we're going to start filming next week. So I'm like, okay, cool.
That month.
And then literally, and
okay,
then
I'm
even
prepared.
so, like the producers hit me up. They're like, text us a list of what you need, and I was like, my paint guns? I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? What do I need?
Yeah.
Like, throw me in there with my paint guns, and that's all. Like, that's all
Yeah.
I need. I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, just like a list of what you need. And I was like, I don't know. And then thankfully, like the garage producer came through, and they're like, all of this. And I was like, thanks, guys. Like, and then when I got that, because I didn't know what to expect on a TV show.
Sure,
I had
right.
no
Yeah.
clue. I don't know
Yeah.
what was like, especially because this wasn't.
You're like, this is the perfect setup shop, right? And then
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. So then you walk in, you're like, this is amazing. It has everything, and it doesn't have
Okay.
anything. So then you're like, well, shit. So then once we got like all of everything that you could possibly imagine, and then we just went at it, and we were doing car after car because like the deadlines were so short, and I mean we did 8 cars in that time.
Hollywood's
so,
funny that way,
yeah.
aren't they?
Oh
Yeah.
man, you're like this.
Right?
They're like, and
You're
then
like, this is not normal.
So then while I was doing the show, I couldn't post anything. So
Senior Crunch.
I posted
Yeah.
a throwback of a lowrider roof that I did, an Impala roof.
Yeah.
And then of course one of the producers saw it, and he was like, awesome, let's do it. And I was like, I have 1 day to paint these cars. I was
Yeah,
like, you
you
want me to
don't
do a
understand.
lowrider roof on this? And he's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, we'll give you 3. And I was like, still not enough time. I was like, it doesn't work
Paint has
like
to
that.
dry in
Yeah.
between. Come
I
on,
was
give
like,
me a
it
break.
doesn't work. And then even when the first time the whole thing came to the
That was
booth
pretty
with
good.
me, like we did like with them, even with flash times, like between clear coats, we did our first coat of clear,
Right.
and they're like, sweet, okay, so go in and finish it up. And I'm like, I can't yet. Like, just relax,
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
wait. And they're like, you mean we have to wait? And I was like, yes, you
Yeah.
have to wait. Like you
Yeah.
can't
Oh my
rush
gosh,
this
yeah.
part. So once like by the end of the season, everything was running very smoothly, and they knew
Sure.
what to expect paint wise.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't
was
it
just really cool.
fascinating, though, really, to think about how many people don't know anything about paint and cure time and, like you were saying, the flash time and
or
and
even
being
like just like sanding it and all of it. I feel like
The
that's,
sanding.
I feel like that's where a lot of the misunderstandings come from, though, is people don't understand how much work goes in, especially a custom paint job, because you have layers.
You're sanding that clear coat so many
Yeah,
times.
you're just clearing it so many times alone. Like,
God help you if you've somehow burned through something.
Lord.
Like, you got a spot.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, but that's also the cool part about like social media, is being able to show that thing and like being able to be like, this is everything that goes into it. And then it's just cool. Like, I feel like I'm more proud of my work when so much does go into it, because you're like, I did all of that. Like, that's totally cool.
That's all me.
Somebody,
right there.
there was even one part of the show, I think, that they were like, do you love what you do? And I was like, no, I actually hate what I do. I just love the end result. Like, like the act of sanding is the worst ever. Like, I love to airbrush and I'll get lost in airbrushing, but like, no, none of the paint process is anything enjoyable. Even painting in the booth in the summer, you're sweating. Like, I was all of this sucks. It's not until it comes out of the booth, you're like, all right, let's do it again.
Oh my God.
All worth it, but not while you're doing it.
Oh yeah,
that's what people all the time. It's like, what do you do? Well, I sand mostly.
Yeah, they're like, you're a painter, and I'm like, no.
And they're like, no. I'm like, no, you're just sanding. You're sanding a lot.
Yep, and I tape. I tape so much.
Different types of sandpaper that goes with all that sand.
So many.
And then there's dry and
So
there's
many.
wet. And there's all this stuff.
Like 36 to 5,000 and everything in between. It's a big difference right there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So
I think we're to
we
our
have to get to our finale questions.
Let's hear them. Let's hear
So
okay.
This makes me nervous.
This is easy. This is easy. So what we want to know is, alive or dead, who would you most like? Like, how do you start that?
Right.
Dead or alive?
How do you want to leave here today?
No.
Like, all right.
No, there has to be.
Okay, that was good. Sorry, that was funny.
That was true. You'll be able to leave. Don't worry. Alive. Oh Lord, she's like,
somebody check in with me after you've listened to this.
Oh my God, I'm gonna finish the question.
You have to, it's a video, you have to speak in it.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Say your name and the date.
Right? Oh my goodness. Who would you like to most sit down with for a meal, a beer, or something?
That is a very hard question.
And they can be living or not living.
Mine is living, but I would do Gene Winfield. I feel like
sat down with him.
I've passed him a few times. I've saw him in person, but that is as close as I've gotten to him. And I feel like he is like, I feel like I could talk to him for days. I feel like there's so much
and
that he could
would
talk about.
Definitely talk to you for days.
That would be so cool to me. So I would love that.
Let's make sure we get that to him.
I know.
That would be
Definitely.
cool.
We'll just have to make a trip out to his place.
Anyway, that would be cool
Totally.
too. Hey, I'll be down with any of that.
Yeah,
I would just
for
meet him
sure.
at an event. That'd be cool. Just to even shake his hand would be awesome.
That's so awesome.
I mean, and he still freaking works. That's
Yeah,
what's so amazing.
that's the other thing about it, like-
that's what people. So when I moved out to the middle of the desert, I was like, I'm gonna paint cars in the middle of the desert, and they're like, okay. I'm like, Gene Winfield does it, and they're like, who? You don't need to know. I know, and that's all I care about. And so, yes,
I just feel like he would be super cool. And
yeah, he is. Yeah.
I don't know, just all of it, like his experience with it and everything that he's done, and the fact that he is still going is amazing.
He's one of the originators of doing things, of customizing cars, of custom painting, of all of those things, and he's still around doing it.
And am I correct in saying he's 99 or is he 100?
98.
98.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's
8. I think it's 98. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Alex is
impressive.
impressive.
102 now. Alex is
that's impressive.
and he's
stuff.
still working. No, he's like literally still painting.
Well, and
I would
still
see
be interested
it's
in
such an
it,
inspiration
right?
because like I
Yeah.
think about that kind of often. I'm like, what would I do after this? And I'm like, I hope I don't have
I'm
to
just
worry
gonna
about
keep
that.
painting.
Yeah, like I
I
hope I
know.
can like paint until
I
I,
know.
absolutely can't.
I
So
totally
love
agree.
that.
I totally
That's
agree.
just really cool to me.
I love that answer. So, and my question is, if you could have any car, motorcycle, whatever it is, what would you have, and where would you ride it or drive it?
So mine's pretty simple and cliche, but I want a 67 Chevelle. That is my
that's rad.
dream car. I think that they are just like, I don't know what it is about those cars, but I am so obsessed with them. And everyone's like, that's like the most simple car. And I'm like, I don't care. Like that thing is just like, one day I'll have that thing. But I have dream. I would love to like go up PCH to like Monterey and stuff, like Big Sur and like up there and
yes.
ride. I rode my Sportster up there on a real rainy day one time. But other than that, it was not
to do that
intentional.
again.
I was just on a trip and I was like, I'm doing PC8. And the first time I did it, I drove and it was beautiful out and I was like, this is awesome. So I was in LA on my bike and I had to go to NorCal and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then it started raining the whole time and I was like, fuck. I was like, this is so dumb. I was so mad.
And then there's that one really long bridge.
Yeah.
too, that's very high.
But then there, none of it has service, and you're like, well, I die.
yeah.
I die.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it's just like I'm not telling my mom about this one for a while.
It's funny because I was thinking about that
Oh
as
yeah,
you're telling the
she
story. I'm
stopped.
like,
Yeah,
"What'd
she
your
stopped
mom think of
asking.
this?"
Yeah, when I started traveling a lot, she would get super like weirded out because I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna leave today and head west, and I don't know where I'm gonna end up. And
Right.
like I would book jobs in different cities and then just go city to city.
Yeah.
And she just stopped worrying about it. Like she was just like,
Yeah.
you know what, I can't
worry
Yeah,
about
she's like,
it.
I can't do
Yeah.
it anymore. She's like, you can figure it out.
Yep.
And that's it. And even my family members are like, where's Shayna? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, I couldn't tell you. Let me
check her location.
I like that because I'm the same way. Like half the time people don't know I'm married that because the other half I'm just like out doing things and
Yep.
they're like, well, why? Where's everyone else? I'm like, what? Like,
Or they
I
think
don't
you have
know.
a
I'm
bodyguard.
just going and doing things. Like,
Yeah.
what does that matter? I don't know. I'm just
having
living
fun.
my life.
Right? I just do it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I sure had a good time talking to you.
I know.
I had a
Getting
good
to
time
know you.
today. It was so
Yeah.
good to meet you.
So
I'm so
awesome
glad.
to meet you.
This was
Yes.
a really good time.
I know
So-
this is probably the most we've actually. I mean, we've worked and we've done things together
Yeah.
next to each other, but we've never like sat
Even when like
down,
all of
so
our
this
events
is
were
great.
working, so we like say
I
hi, and then we
know.
go do our thing,
I
and
know.
then we say bye,
We're
and
just
then
like
that's
we're just
it.
helping
So
people and pinstriping
that's
and
really
doing
cool.
things. So
I'm glad
this
that we
is
got to
great.
do
Yeah.
this. So
We'll
thank
have
you
to
guys.
do it again. So.
Yeah, we definitely have to do it again. We'll have to bring that Raptor out there and
Yes,
have some fun.
that's
So,
happening.
yeah.
That's happening. So,
Thank you guys for tuning into High Octane Hustle. I'm Fastlane Jane.
and I'm Design Muse, and,
And
this
this
was
I'm Shayna Guy, also known as 13th Street Customs, and don't forget to watch our show Resurrected Rides on Netflix.
Yes.
Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
And if you guys want to see more stories about badasses in this space, be
please
sure.
like and subscribe.
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
Until next time.